Watch this video. This is the one. Look down and you're gonna have two peekaboos on your shirt staring back at you. So you're in nipple town and this is gonna be really, really painful. What are these breasts? Do not start your breastfeeding journey before you watch this one. I talk a lot about boobs here on this channel. We talk about boobs all the time, but I don't actually know if I have one video that is like, before you start your breastfeeding journey, watch this video. This is the one. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. But like, if you're starting your breastfeeding marathon, this right here, this is the starting line. And I think my first tip is preparation. And by searching this one up, I mean, you're already well on your way to step one. And we prep a lot for childbirth and like what we want it to look like, how we want it to go. But then you have your baby and I hand it to you and I'm like, here you go. And then you're like, well, now what do I do? Because if you haven't prepped for postpartum and for breastfeeding, that's really not going to help you to be successful along that breastfeeding journey. So I personally think that prep for breastfeeding, it is as important as prep for childbirth. And I don't mean like get a breastfeeding textbook and memorize it front to back and like have all the cute color tabs on it. I just mean know where to go for good, valuable, evidence-based information if you happen to hit any problems during your breastfeeding journey. And this can be something like this right here, a good, valuable video with information for your breastfeeding journey. It can also be a prep course. And here's the plug. I do have a breastfeeding prep course along with a prenatal course and a baby care course. They are all available here on my website. But getting a good prep course and watching it ahead of time really sort of prepares you for that success, because then first you feel confident with your basic skills of breastfeeding, but you also know where those modules are so that if you do hit those road bumps, those speed bumps, you know where to go for the information to find out how to continue to have success beyond them. Now, I know you want to know, how often am I breastfeeding my newborn baby? And of course, this is going to vary person to person, baby to baby. But what I always stress to new parents is to feed on demand as opposed to feeding on a schedule. So you're going to want to really tune into your baby, observe them. Unagi. You're going to want to look for those early hunger cues. And you can see there's quite a few of them. They might look like kind of thrusting their tongue out or turning their head side to side or clenching and unclenching their fists. There's a lot of them. But when you see those early hunger cues, that's when you want to latch your baby and have a nice, solid, good breastfeeding session. What you do not want to do is wait till your baby is ferociously hungry and they're making that like high-pitched pterodactyl, like dolphin, sea lion type sound. You don't want to wait for that, because if you wait till your baby is that hungry and that upset and you are learning how to breastfeed, maybe you're working out some latch issues and you try to put baby on, it's going to be really frustrating for both you and your baby, and you're probably going to have a harder time than if you see those early hunger signs and that's when you latch baby. So that's the first little bit. The next thing is that if you do feed on demand, this is likely going to work out to feeding your baby every 2 to 3 hours or around 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period at minimum. Now, a lot of people, even though they are feeding their baby every 8 to 12 times in 24 hours, they still worry if their baby is getting enough milk. And I have counseled a lot of people who worry about this. My name is Tina. I am a certified breastfeeding specialist and a certified perinatal nurse. I've been doing this 17 years. I'm also a mom of 4. If you are new here, welcome, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I do talk about boobs a lot. You will see that as you go forward. If you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I want to talk now about how you can know if your baby's getting enough. Fabulous 5. If you are concerned that your baby is not getting enough breast milk with each feed, here are the 5 things that I want you to pay attention to, starting with weight gain. We know that babies are going to lose weight after they're born for a number of factors. They're going to lose around 5 to 7% of their body weight in those first 3 to 4 days of life. But after those 3 to 4 days, you should be seeing your baby's weight starting to trend up. They should be getting back to their birth weight by around 10 to 14 days old. Now, if you're weighing your baby, you should see them putting on around 4 to 8 ounces a week. That's going to be the equivalent of around 1.5 to 2 pounds a month, upwards of the first 4 months of their life. Take a look at this chart right here, because pee and poop, that is number 2 and 3 on our list of ways we can tell that baby is getting enough breast milk. First, let's talk about pee diapers, wet diapers. The number of wet diapers your baby is having should correlate to the number of days old they are. So on their first day of life, they should have 1 pee-filled diaper. Day 2, 2 diapers. Day 3, 3 diapers. I mean, you get the point. And you're going to do that all the way up to day 5. By day 5 of life, your baby should be having between 5 and 6 pee-filled diapers at minimum. The other thing you're going to notice here is that as your breast milk changes from that colostrum and it transitions into that more mature milk, you're also going to notice the color of the pee changing. It's going to go from that more concentrated orange, goldy yellow to like a pale yellow, which makes sense because our babies are becoming more hydrated as that breast milk becomes more copious and they're taking more of it in. Next up, poopy diapers. So yeah, buckle up and welcome to Poop Town, which would be a really place to live. I will be here all week. Okay. Poopy diapers. You get to become a poop investigator because not only are the numbers of poopy diapers going to increase as your baby gets older, the color and consistency is going to change as well. And those are all clues to tell us that baby's getting enough breast milk. On day 1, you're looking for that 1 poopy diaper. This is going to be black, tarry, sticky. This is known as meconium, which is baby's first bowel movement. So day 1, you have 1 meconium poop. You are good for that day. Day 2, you want baby to have 2 poopy diapers. Day 3, you want them to have 3 poopy diapers. And it can stay at 3 or it might get more. A lot of babies, they'll actually poop with every single breastfeed. But on day 5, as long as baby is having 3 minimum poops per day, then that is going to tell us that baby's getting enough milk. Also, the amount of poop. The amount of poop in your baby's diaper with each diaper change should be about the size of a toonie. And for my non-Canadian friends that are following along, it looks kind of like this. It's a really, really pretty coin. I got to see them at the Mint just recently, but very cool. So that's kind of how big your baby's poop should be. But also we're looking at the color and is it changing? So it's going to go from that black tarry meconium stool. It's going to change to more of like a greeny black. Then it's going to be kind of like a brown color. It's going to get less sticky and tarry and more looking like actual poop. And then it's actually going to change towards that day 5 or 6 to being almost like a mustard yellow color. And you're going to notice that it has seeds in it. It has like a seedy appearance. They almost look like sesame seeds in there. These are all really, really good indicators that your baby's poop is transitioning as your breast milk is also transitioning, and it's telling us that baby is getting adequate amounts of breast milk. Next up on the list, pay attention to your baby. They're going to give you signs that they are feeling full and satisfied after that breastfeed. So if you go to feed your baby because they are giving you those early hunger cues, maybe they're squawking, maybe their fists are all clenched up, their body's all tense, they're moving their head all around, and then you feed them, and towards the end of that feed, you notice your baby's body gets a little more relaxed. Maybe their hands open up. If you can see their palms, that's a really, really good sign because they are feeling relaxed. They're no longer squawking. Maybe they are awake, but they are alert and they are interested in the world around them. They seem like a satisfied, calm baby. That's a really good sign that you have enough breast milk to make them feel that satisfaction. And lastly, your baby should be feeding frequently, which we already chatted about, but I want to remind you, at minimum, your baby should be feeding 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. And that's the fabulous 5, a quick little checklist that you can go through. But I want to drive this home. If you've gone through the checklist and your baby is checking off the items saying, yep, baby's getting enough breast milk, but like, in your core, in your gut, you just feel like something is off. You're like, no, I still don't think that they are getting enough breast milk. Your intuition is a really, really important part to the parenting journey. Your gut feelings, they matter and you should listen to them. So I definitely want you to check in with your provider if you are still thinking that your baby is not getting enough breast milk. No one's going to fault you for going to see your baby's pediatrician to make sure that your baby is safe. That's your job and you're doing it amazingly. Let's talk about my favorite thing, boobs, your boobs, because they're the main character in this movie. Let's talk about what they're going to go through now that your baby's here. That first milk that your breasts have for your baby when they are born is known as colostrum. And yes, it is there when your baby is born. So if you hear people say things like, we're waiting for your milk to come in, that's not an entirely accurate statement because your milk is already in the form of colostrum. It's actually there during pregnancy. So it was there before your baby was even born. But this first colostrum, it's like that golden yellow color. It's thicker, it's smaller in volume, but it packs a big punch for our babies that they need in those first few days of life. It's going to give them the calories, fats, sugars. It's going to give them immune factors. It's going to give them nutrients, all of the things that they need to continue to thrive. Now, as your baby sort of suckles and stimulates the breast, or a breast pump stimulates your breast, or you do hand expression, whatever it is, the stimulation at the breast will eventually cause that colostrum to transition to more mature milk. This will be sort of that pale yellow color. It's going to be thinner. It's going to be more in volume. This is kind of what's going to keep you you going for the rest of the breastfeeding journey. But this transition period from colostrum to mature milk, it takes different amounts of time for different people, and I do find that the more babies that you have had, the quicker that transition happens. But on average, you're looking for 3 to 5 days for that transition to happen. And there's a couple of ways you're going to tell if that's going to happen. One of them is that you're going to hear your baby's feeding patterns change. In the beginning, when it's just colostrum, they might be doing a lot of sucking and not a ton of swallowing, because remember that volume is small. So it might sound like suck, 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 swallow in the earlier days, okay? But once that milk transitions, you're going to hear a different pattern. It's going to be like suck, swallow, breathe. Suck, swallow, breathe, or suck, suck, swallow, breathe. There's going to be a whole lot less sucks and a whole lot more swallows because baby is actually moving that milk now. The other way that you might tell is that you might feel a letdown. This is a really weird sensation if you have never felt a milk letdown before. For me, first off, my breasts felt heavier. I was like, what are these breasts? And my husband appreciated them, but I told him not to touch them because they were hard. And they were uncomfortable. The other way that it will feel is like little zings that go down your breast, like little electric shocks. I said it felt like my baby was like scratching my skin with their little nails, but then I would look down and there was no hand or nails on my breast. It just felt like that. So everyone describes this a little bit differently, but that's kind of the two ways you can tell that change in baby's suck, swallow, breathe pattern, and then the feeling of the letdown and that fullness of your breasts. After you've had a letdown, I already mentioned that your breasts are going to feel fuller and heavier. The other thing you need to know is that you're probably going to leak from the other breast. Now, not everybody does leak from the opposite breast that baby's feeding on, but a lot of people do. This is where those breast pads, they come in really, really handy. You're going to tuck them in there. Also, always pack an extra pair of breast pads in your diaper bag because I'm sure one day during your feeding journey, you're going to run out the door without them. And then you're going to have a letdown, look down, and you're going to have 2 peekaboos on your shirt staring back at you. So breast pads in there. If you find that you are leaking quite a bit, it might be a great idea for you to invest in like a milk catcher. This is the Shell. This one can be a pump or a milk catcher. They also have a Ladybug. Lots of brands have milk collection cups. And all you do is you take this, you place your nipple in the hole, and you just leave it in your bra while you feed baby on the other side. This is quite flat profile, doesn't really get in the way, but it just simply collects all of the milk that lets down on the opposite side, and then you can actually collect it in a bottle, you can freeze it, and then you have yourself a little mini stash just from collections alone. So look into those. If you watch any part of this video, I hope it is this section right here, because we're going to talk about getting a good latch. Now, a deep, effective latch is important on many, many levels in your breastfeeding journey. First off, it's going to make it so that it's comfortable for you, because no one's continuing to breastfeed if it hurts like hell every single time you latch your baby, and you latch them 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period, week after week, month after month. So we want to really preserve those nipples, keep them healthy, and keep you pain-free while you're breastfeeding. But the other reason that you want a deep, effective latch is that it allows your baby to transfer milk efficiently, and you need that milk removal more often to keep your breast milk supply up. So it's really important. The first thing I always want to say is that we want to have a nice open mouth before we latch, because if you have baby and they have their lips pursed like this and you are just shoving your nipple into their mouth, then they are going to eventually just latch right on the tippity tip of your nipple. They're in nipple town, and this is going to be really, really painful, and it's not going to be effective. So what I want you to do, find a position that you are comfortable in, and I want you to elicit baby's rooting reflex. And we do that by just brushing the nipple around their mouth. I like to go in the middle, bottom of the lip, kind of around their cheeks, and then you wait. I know waiting is hard, but you wait till they open their mouth wide. Once they open their mouth wide, then you are going to offer the nipple into their mouth by bringing baby to the breast. We are not bringing the breast to the baby, because otherwise you're going to end up with breastfeeding shoulders that hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. We don't want that. So rooting reflex, wait for an open mouth, bring baby to the breast. But when you bring baby to the breast, you're going to bring them in kind of a bit of an angle. You want to angle this breast so that the nipple is pointed towards the roof of baby's mouth, because the roof of baby's mouth, the palate right back here, that is where their sucking reflex is located. So if we can land the nipple in that area, it's going to encourage them to do that suck, swallow, breathe. The other thing that bringing that nipple in, aimed towards their nose on an angle, aimed at their back palate, is it makes them come up and over the breast, which is going to further help that latch to be nice and deep. So we have an open mouth, we bring our nipple in on an angle where we are bringing it nipple towards the nose. They're going to come in contact with your breast with the chin on the bottom part of the breast first, and then they are going to come up and over to latch onto that breast. So right now you have this nipple that's coming in contact with their palate. It's going to cause them to start start to suck. Once they are sucking on the breast or they are latched, I want you to take a look at a couple of things. First thing you want to look at, the angle of their mouth. It should be nice and wide, about 140 degrees. So think about this Special K logo. That's the angle that you want out of your baby's mouth, because that means they have a big open mouth and they can take in nipple and areola and maybe even some breast tissue, giving them a deep latch. The other thing I want you to look at is their lips. Are their lips flanged out? So top and bottom lips should be flanged out like a fish. They shouldn't be tucked under, gumming it like a grandma or a grandpa without their teeth. So take a look at their lips, make sure that they are flanged out. You can help them out a little bit with their lips if you want to, but check in on their lips, make sure that they are flanged out. The next thing you want to do once baby is latched and feeding is listen. You should be hearing suck, swallow, breathe. You should not be hearing clicks, something like that, okay? Because if they are clicking, that tells us that that nipple is slipping inside of their mouth and they are not able to keep the suction on. So have a listen. Should be suck, suck, swallow, breathe, or suck, swallow, breathe. You should be hearing them get into that routine with no clicks or any extra sounds. And then check in. Is that latch comfortable? Is it hurting you? If it was feeling a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, is that feeling going away? How is that feeling for you? Now let's pick a position that makes it so that you can do all of these steps for a good latch and feel comfortable while you're doing it. Picking a breastfeeding position is kind of like picking a pair of underwear, because everyone finds a different type of underwear comfortable. Some of y'all like thongs. Some of y'all like me like granny panties with the period stains on them. Some of you like boy shorts. And some of you don't really know what kind of underwear that you like until you try them on. You might think you like one thing and be like, wow, I do not enjoy that at all. So you're going to go through different positions when you are beginning breastfeeding, try them out and see what you and your baby like. The things I like to suggest to people when you are just starting out are positions that allow you to control your baby's head and allow you to control your breast tissue. And a lot of people in the hospital are just kind of taught this, where baby's just in the crook like this willy-nilly, and they're just kind of put on your boob, and then you're not really sure like what to do with this other hand while you're breastfeeding. I like to teach cross cradle. It is usually the first position that I teach anybody because it gives you both control of baby and control of breast tissue. So again, baby in a straight line. Remember I talked about this. Head over shoulders, over hips, over legs, okay, in a straight line. We are not feeding baby like this, where their head is on the breast and their body is like this. This is not going to be good for anybody. So straight line, you're going to place baby across your body, okay? But instead of just having them in the crook like this, you're actually going to take the opposite hand and put it behind baby's head. Now, if you're ever supporting baby's head with breastfeeding, I'll tell you this, you don't ever want to have your hands on the soft parts of their neck like this. What you want to do is have your hands kind of right here on the bony parts of their jaw, kind of right underneath their ears. You're never really putting any pressure on soft parts, you're just providing support. So baby's across you like this, then you have your other hand here on their head, on those firmer parts, not on the soft parts of their neck, and then you have this other hand free to manipulate your breast tissue when you are putting baby on. It just makes it easier to latch. Next position I really like that is relaxing and allows you to control is a football hold. So this one, baby is no longer across you, they are now behind you. This one is really, really good for people who have had a C-section because now baby is not putting any pressure across that incision line. So basically you are going to hold baby like a football, okay? So you are still using this hand. It can be on either side. The side the baby is on, that is the hand that you're using. You're going to grab onto their head gently on the hard parts, not on the soft parts, to just basically control and help lead their head. You have this other hand free now to manipulate this breast tissue. And the other cool thing about this is if you have large breasts, this one is great because you can actually see baby's face over your breast as opposed to other ones where baby's just kind of buried in the breast tissue. A position I will often suggest if a patient has just had a C-section, maybe we're in the recovery room, they can't really move their legs all that well, is a laid back nursing position. This is exactly as it sounds. You are laying back and baby is on top of your breast. However, a lot of people panic because they're like, baby's gonna suffocate. They can't lift their head. They can and they will. So as long as we position baby on the breast properly, they will have their nostrils free and they can feed and they can breathe as they need to. This one is really, really good. Like I said, post C-section. It's also great early postpartum because it can be restful. If you do feel sleepy though, I will say this, please have somebody with you to make sure that as you are resting and baby is latched, that baby is safe and hasn't slipped into an unsafe position. And to do this one, you can either allow baby to self-latch. This is like the breast crawl. It's really, really cool to see. Or you can just put them around the breast and eventually they'll bob their head onto your breast. And you just want to make sure that, again, baby is coming up and over the breast, which will then, and you can't see it, their little nostrils will be free. It's hard to demo with a a chair and a doll and a baby, and you can just lay back and allow baby to feed. The other nice thing about this is that it's baby controlled. So if baby has had enough, they can take their head off. And believe me, a newborn baby can lift their head, okay? The other cool thing, if you have a fast letdown or a powerful letdown, laid back is a really good position because it sort of uses gravity to like suppress that sort of letdown and that release of breast milk from babies choking on it. So laid back, it's nice. I will tell you about cradle hold because a lot of times this is what we show people in the hospital for whatever reason. This is basically baby's head and neck are supported in the crook of your arm. Okay, they're just kind of like this and rolled forward. Baby is in a straight line, and you go through the same things, but it can be a lot harder to manipulate this breast tissue and get your baby onto the breast. So a lot of times this is a good one for people with smaller breasts that don't really need to manipulate that tissue all too much. It's just not one of my favorites. Maybe once you have baby latched, if you want to get in this position, you could, but you can try this one out. Hey, maybe this is your thong and you like this position the best. Who am I to judge? You do whatever you like, but I just say try them all out. This one, cradle hold. Last one I want to tell you about, this is more of an advanced position, but I love it because it is super, super restful. Once you get the hang of it, it can be really enjoyable. It is side lying nursing. Again, this one is pretty hard to demonstrate while sitting in a chair in front of a camera. The other thing I want to stress here is this one is really important to make sure you have somebody with you to ensure that baby is safe because it is extremely restful because you're just kind of laying on your side and feeding your baby. It's very easy to doze off. Maybe I'll put up a picture for you on screen because this just sort of feels really hard to demo, but I can't really tell you how much I love this position once you have practiced it and gotten really, really efficient with breastfeeding. A really common question I get all the time is, should breastfeeding hurt? And the short answer is no, and the long answer is no. Breastfeeding shouldn't hurt. Now, it's going to feel a certain kind of way. You now have a baby sucking on freshly postpartum nipples that have never been fed off of before. So yes, it's going to feel a certain kind of way. That said, should it be so painful that you want to quit? No. Should that pain be getting worse as you are continuing to breastfeed? No. Should your nipples come out cracked and bleeding and raw? Absolutely not. Should you have to clench your butthole the whole time because it hurts so bad? No, it absolutely should not. If these things are happening, that is telling us that there is something wrong and we need to start from the start and do some investigating. Very likely we need to investigate that latch. So it's going to feel a certain kind of way, but it shouldn't be so painful you want to quit. Also, here's what's up. Your nipple should go into your baby's mouth and it should come out looking around the same way that it went in. So if your nipple goes in round, it should come out sort of round. It shouldn't come out looking like a tube of lipstick. If your nipple goes in looking pink, it shouldn't come out blue, bruised, bleeding, white, and blanched. Those are all indicators to us that that latch needs some investigating. The other question people love to ask is, do I need a breast pump before my baby comes? And this answer is a bit loaded. It's going to depend for me on where you live. For example, in Canada, we have a really nice maternity leave. We have 12 months of maternity leave, sometimes 18 months of maternity leave. So my answer for a Canadian is going to be very different than for somebody who lives in the United States, where your maternity leave is very, very short and you are going back to work from your baby, which is a sin at like 6 weeks postpartum. So they're a little bit different, and I'll explain to you why. For somebody who has a long maternity leave, that pressure to figure out if you need a pump, and if you do need a pump, which pump do you need and when do I get it, that pressure is very, very minimal because you have time to make those decisions. You might start breastfeeding your baby. You were thinking, yeah, I'm going to breastfeed my baby exclusively, but then you say, no, breastfeeding's not for me. Then you're going to obviously need to get a pump, and the pump that you get, if you're pumping a lot, should be a corded double electric because it's just going to give you more efficient milk emptying overall when compared to a wearable. But maybe you start off thinking that you're going to exclusively pump, but you really, really like breastfeeding. Well, then no, you don't have to get a pump right away because you are breastfeeding your baby. I will always suggest if at any point in time you are considering combo feeding, where you are considering pumping breast milk and feeding that to your baby in a bottle, that you do get a pump a little bit sooner than later because you want to start making that bottle stockpile enough time so that you can introduce that bottle by around 3 to 4 weeks postpartum. Now, you don't need to pump a lot for this to happen. You just need to pump enough to have that first bottle. Then when you give that bottle, that is the time that you will replace that bottle feed with a pumping session so that you have the next day's bottle and you're not dropping a feed, which can, affect your supply. If you are living in the United States or somewhere where maternity leave is very, very short, I do say yes, you should get yourself a pump before your baby is born. Now, you have to figure out sort of what brands you align with, what features you are looking for. There are a ton of them out there. It feels like every brand has like 8 different breast pumps available. I will say if you are pumping a lot, if you are going to work for long periods of time, you are away from your baby for like, 6, 8, 12 hours, you are going to want an efficient corded double electric breast pump as your primary pump. Now, you could grab a wearable and have that as a secondary, but if you're gone for long periods of time and you are relying on that breast pump to efficiently and quickly remove that breast milk from your breast so that your breast milk supply stays consistent, you want it to be a really efficient pump. If you're just pumping once in a while, or like, hey, I had to go out somewhere, so I had to quickly do like half a pump because I can only feed baby for a minute, then yeah, you could definitely get away with a wearable, but it should never be your primary pump if pumping is a big part of your breastfeeding journey. And I know that didn't actually answer your question, but yeah, a lot of factors kind of go into the where I say pump is important or pump is not important. So you got to weigh it out. And the last thing I want to stress to my newer breastfeeding parents or parents who are planning to breastfeed is to get your baby onto the breast to stimulate it as soon as you can after they are born. They have to be ready as soon as they are showing you signs of readiness. Get those babies onto the breast. If for whatever reason you are separated from your baby and this can't happen within that first 1 or 2 hours, then stimulate your breast. Do some hand expression for your breasts. I have lots of videos on how to do hand expression. Just get it stimulated and just do it into the hospital blanket. Who cares? The point is you need to have that stimulation at the breast to really help your body to do that transition from colostrum to more mature milk. A big mistake I see first-time parents making is they think that their breast milk isn't in yet. So they don't put the baby on the breast. They just supplement baby with either donor milk or colostrum or formula, and then they don't have that stimulation at the breast. And then they see this big delay in their breast milk transitioning from colostrum to mature milk. And sometimes they see a lack of a breast milk supply because they haven't been telling their body, hey, my baby is taking this milk out of the breast. I need you to give me more. It is that frequent emptying of your breasts and that frequent stimulation at the breast that's going to tell our body we need more milk for this baby. They are eating everything you've already given me. I still need more milk. Let's go get it moving. So that is what I always want to tell people. Get that baby onto the breast. Even having that baby sort of on skin to skin, doing a breast crawl, touching, licking at the breast, all of that is stimulation that can really go towards a successful, positive breastfeeding story. So really, really get that baby on the breast, get that stimulation happening, and remember, to make more milk, you need to remove more milk more often. So your baby at the breast or a pump at the breast, if you don't want to directly breastfeed, is a really, really big key to the journey. I love boobs. I love talking about boobs. If you want more information on success for breastfeeding, this playlist right here has got it all for you. Getting a good latch, increasing your breast milk supply, all about breast pumps, Q&As, you name it, it is there. If you like this one, show me and this cutie patootie some love. Give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and as always, be happy, stay healthy, have fun. Bye.